Hello, welcome once again here in La Talking Venture Capital TV. My name is Xavier. I'm going to be your host for today. And like every session, we bring you the innovation, technology, and solutions you want to hear about directly from the CEO or the founder of the projects. And as you know, that's a great, fantastic benefit because you get to make the questions or comments that you want to do. Please just put them in the chat box and we will be addressing them. Before we move on to the interview, as a reminder, you can always hear previous shows and content by visiting latalking.com/VCTV/shows. And follow us on our socials like Facebook and Twitter. And if you're watching us on YouTube, just hit the subscribe button. You always get informed of great content opportunities and even giveaways like the ones we are having today. One last reminder before we jump on the interview. Anything mentioned here is not any type of financial advice. Please do your research before making any decision. Is your choices and your responsibility. With that said, I would like to introduce our project for today, QAA, with Edward Myers, CEO and founder of QAA. Edward, very welcome. How are you?
Good evening. I'm very well. Thank you very much.
Great to have you here. Very interesting project.
Thank
QAA,
you.
commodity. Now, I was reviewing a webpage, and I would like to read, before I give you the word, I'd like to read one statement, okay, the mission. And it says, the mission is to facilitate the largest transition of wealth in the history of humankind. Great statement. Very ambitious.
Statement also, yes.
Okay, Edward, up to you. Can you please introduce yourself and introduce the project as well, please?
Yes, well, my name is Edward Majors, 53 years old, Dutch national, already living for over 14 years in Africa, where I currently live, work, and probably also will die. I married Africa. That means that my wife is a native African from Lesotho. That's also the place where I live, in the Kingdom of Lesotho, a small kingdom enclosed by South Africa. And our business is mainly concentrated in West Africa, currently Sierra Leone, where we have a long-standing history over all these years.
Oh, perfect. Thank you very much for that intro. Now, let's talk a little bit about commodity. Can you please explain to us a little about the project? And imagine that we're not very technical savvy, just normal people and using normal words. Well, how could you describe QAA?
Well, commodity, and perhaps I can go back to that bold statement that we use. You know, the largest transition of wealth in the history of mankind. There are not fake words. And when you look at the content of these words, we are really going to give meaning to it. We are doing that already. Perhaps I can give you a little bit of background, because then everybody also understands where we come from and where commodity was arised from. 14 years ago, I went from Europe. I lived those days in Switzerland. I left from one day to another. I sold all my possessions. I took all my money, and I left for Sierra Leone to get into an adventure that we are still living today, but it got a complete different dimension. So I started 14 years ago to do diamond mining in Sierra Leone. That was a big adventure for 2 years. Encountered also a lot of challenges to overcome, because Sierra Leone has a troubled history. It's a beautiful country, very loving people, very nice surroundings, nature, everything is nice. But the scars of the civil war are still visible in that country. So infrastructure is difficult. After that, we stopped basically with the production of diamond mining after 2 years. We concentrated on the acquiring of concessions. And concessions are large pieces of land that you can get a license for. And our objective was to bring these licenses up to a resource, to a proven resource. The problem is in this prospecting and exploration, because that's what we do. We are a prospecting and exploration company, is that you basically don't know what's there. So it means that you are doing a greenfield project. And greenfield projects are only done by people who are a little bit crazy. Other people are not doing these kind of projects. Because it means that you acquire a piece of jungle, that you start digging, pitting and trenching, and that you hope that you find something which is in the ground as a natural resource. But if it's not there, obviously, you lose a huge amount of time and money because it's very costly to do these kind of operations.
Is that what you've been doing?
Yeah, that's that's how I started indeed 14 years ago. So,
sorry, I have to ask, did you get lucky?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, wow.
We got lucky, but if and it's too short for now, but if I would take you through these past 14 years, the hardship and the endurance, especially also people around you who are going to tell you all the time that this is doomed to fail, that you're crazy, that you're wasting your time and your money and all those kind of things. Plus the hardship to get there, the stamina that you need, the conviction. That's a whole journey for a person. So I definitely changed everything, or my whole personality changed in the past 14 years because of what you see in these countries. Also the suffering and the hardship of the people. Their daily routines, their sacrifices. So it was for me personally a very interesting journey. Well, perhaps it's good to say that I only wanted one thing all my life, and that's freedom. I want nothing else. And freedom means for me that you can live there where you want, the way that you want it, and yet you never have to think about paying a bill for the rest of your life. That's my definition of freedom, which obviously can be different for everybody else. I came from the Netherlands. I had a fantastic childhood, very loving family, but we were not too rich where I came from. So my childhood was rather limited where it came to financial means. And before I left to Sierra Leone, I had some different activities. I made some good money. I had all kind of things in my life. Then you're going to buy a lot of stuff that you don't need, especially to show everybody that you're successful. And in Sierra Leone, everything changed. So in a material sense, also for me, but also for commodity, everything changed. I want to stipulate here that definitely we are going to make a project that has never been seen before, also in a monetary sense. But I am not in for this for the money. I'm in for this for the legacy. And I think that changes everything where it comes to this project. This is a real project with real people on the ground, doing every single day from early morning to late in the evening, everything to make a change and to leave that legacy. And everybody who is involved in everything that has to do with commodity is on the same page in life for that regard. And that makes it for me very valuable, what we are doing. So back to the exploration and prospecting. So a Greenfield project, basically you have 3 stages in prospecting and exploration. That's the Greenfield, so you have no idea what's there. So you just start digging and pitting and trenching, and you hope that you find something. If you're lucky, then you find something or a lot, and then you have a Brownfield project. They call it a Brownfield project. And that means that you did all your exploration yourself, that you know basically what you have, what the value is of your concession and your resources, but it has not been externally validated. So you know it, but nobody else knows it, and on that moment it also doesn't really have a monetary value.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the last stage, and they call that proven resource, or NI 43101. And the NI 43101 is a Canadian standard where it comes to the valuation of natural resources. So, on the moment that you want to have a valuated natural resource, a proven resource, you need to get accredited geologists who are allowed to sign off on the NI 43101 as a report. So that's what we are doing. So we are turning basically worthless pieces of land into land which has a real monetary value through the NI 43101 process. And that's what we're continuously doing. So one of the very interesting parts of commodity is that we are creating a wealth that has never existed before, not in any monetary system. Because you have to keep in mind that the resources that we identify and quantify and monetize at this stage was a wealth, a value that nobody knew that it was in existence.
Mm-hmm.
Because research has never been done, the reports have never been made, the prospecting and the exploration has never been done. So this money, as I may call it for sure, because it's a real economic monetary value, that's new money um, uh, um, outside of any monetary value today. So that's important. And the other thing which is important is that we don't produce. So let me give you an example. If you have a kg of gold currently laying in front of you as a bar of gold, let's say for argument's sake it's worth 50,000 US dollars.
Mm-hmm.
If you put it under your mattress or you put it in your safe at home, it doesn't matter where you put it. It's worth $50,000. But now I go with you to your backyard. I dig a hole in your yard. I put the kilo of gold in there and I cover it again. It's still worth $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, why take it out in the first place? So that was my reasoning. So if you have valuable natural resources that you can quantify, identify, and monetize, why would you that then take out of the ground? So what happens usually in Africa? Um, all these countries basically are called third world countries because they say these countries are poor. But
Yeah.
these countries are not poor. They don't have the way to monetize against their natural resources. And what I use in this context is always a beautiful example, and I use Dubai. I just came from there. I'd rather be in Africa, by the way, because I love nature a lot and the
Mm-hmm.
African continent and the African people. But what the people in Dubai did is amazing. In the 70s, Xavier, there was nothing, completely nothing. It was a desert.
Yeah, it was desert.
It was a desert. And if you look today, 50 years later, it's one of the richest and one of the most leading cities in the world in only 50 years. So, what did they do? They found a way to monetize against their natural resources. And in their case, it was oil. So, based upon the monetization of these natural resources, they were able in only 5 decades to build one of the most successful cities in the world. Um, and, and that's something that I have been looking at. Can you imagine if you look at the African continent, where these countries are tremendously rich in natural resources? They have no idea how much resources there are. That if they have a way to monetize against that natural resources, that could mean that a country like Sierra Leone would be the Dubai of Africa. And that's something that got me on the moment that I ended up in Africa. The hardship that I've seen, children who are dying, have no food, no infrastructure, they can't go to school, and I don't know what more kind of problems they have while they are living literally on the gold,
Hmm.
but they can't touch it. So what is usually happening in Africa? These African countries are inviting investors to come to their country and to start up a mining operation, because the mining industry in all these countries is pretty big, and that's also one of the most important drivers of the economy. So these investors are coming into the country. Take the example of gold, for example. They are going somewhere in the jungle. They are going to cut down all the trees. They are going to dig up the whole country, because an open pit mining, that's pretty destructive where it comes to environment and livelihood. Sometimes social cohesion is compromised, because then a village, for example, is on top of a gold producing place, and they have to move a whole village. So you're touching a livelihood and social cohesion. Then they dig up the gold from the ground, where production environments are not really environmental friendly. If you're not very secure, then you pollute, for example, drinking sources, water resources. You leave chemicals in the ground. But it's pretty destructive. So you take the gold out of the ground, then they give the government a nickel and a dime. That's somewhere between 1% and 3% of the value of the gold, and they take this wealth out of the country without leaving anything for the people. And that doesn't sit well with me. So
Hmm.
um, our whole concept is different. So what do? We monetize in-ground natural resources. So through the process of the NI 43-101, which is, by the way, a very costly process, because you need to have accredited geologists who are um, um, doing all the research, because they need to prove that your resource is there, and they need to prove also how big your resource is in order to monetize it.
Exactly, because sorry for interrupting. That was going to be my next question, actually, Edward. Okay, to monetize the resources that are underground, but for that, right, you have to know what kind of resources and the volume of the resources you have, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So is this how it's done then? That
Yeah,
some
this
geologists
is,
go there
yeah,
and
that's exactly how it's done. So we have a large team of accredited geologists who are every single day in the jungles, together with our local teams of Tandem Libre Holdings, which are all locals, also managed by locals. I have an amazing team of people there who are very driven and very committed, who are doing on a daily basis all this research. So you have to see it also. That's really hard labor. You have to go into these jungles, doing the pitting, the trenching, the soil research. It goes to labs. It needs to be analyzed, and all these data is going to be put in a computer program for geologists. They make a whole calculation of the quality of the resource and the magnitude of the resource. And then you get a very difficult report, a geological report, which is going to give you the results. So that means that, for example, and let me just give you an example. If you have a troy ounce of gold and it is mined, then let's say, for argument's sake, that the value is $2,000. It's a little bit less now, but doesn't matter too much. It's just for example. It's $2,000 when it's mined, but the in-ground value of a troy ounce of gold can be, for example, $200, 10%, and that's because it's not mined. So the spread that there still is on the moment that you want to do production, even in the future, that spread is still there. And what I mean to say is with the value of our company, how it's valuated, that is done at in-ground value, not at mine value.
Mm-hmm.
So in December last year, we were valued on 5 billion US dollars, um,
Wow.
company value based upon our resources. And that value is based upon this in-ground value and not on the mine value. And that's
Okay.
very important for the whole structure and also the information for everybody who is involved in this. So currently we hold four exploration license in Sierra Leone and a small scale mining license. And next to that, we are expanding that tremendously within Sierra Leone itself. So I can disclose here already, because the information has been compiled already, is that by the beginning of June, our natural resource value has already grown from 5 billion to 11.6 billion. And it will be expanded over the next few months, because at the end of June, another report will be produced, which will obviously be again higher than this 11.6 billion. So what we are doing is continuously expanding on our resources and continuously turning these unknown natural resources into a proven resource based upon the NI 43-101, what makes us bankable. So we can put these values on our balance sheet. That's what it means.
And once it's valued there, how do you can actually make use of it, of that valuation, in order to create wealth?
Well, it is with every monetary value, basically, on the moment that you can prove that you have an asset. Take, for example, real estate. On the moment that you prove that your real estate portfolio is worth 100 billion, and you can put it on your balance sheet and it's validated. And in our case, it's not only the NI 43-101, which is already a valuation in itself, but it's even double verified by, for example, the EFG, European Federation of Geologists,
Hmm.
where who also verify this report, so that we have a double verification on what we are doing. Then you create a real asset. So it's for that is more or less the same as with this real estate. On the moment that you have this asset, then it is a monetary value which you can put on your balance sheet, and you can use that in a monetary sense.
Okay. Okay, makes good. Now I have a few questions about this, and it's going to be referring about the token, because I think
Yes.
that's a little bit how you're going to introduce it and actually have an actual, we could call it, tool to access this. But before we go on, I just want to mention something important to our traders. There's an ongoing airdrop now, and also we'll soon be start trading as training competition in a few days for QAA. And just I would like to share my screen briefly for the airdrop. I hope you can see it. It's here. This will be the airdrop that is happening right now. You can go to La Token Announcements Telegram channel. You'll find the link there. You can take action now. To learn more about the project, please visit commodity.io. You have the link down there in the banner. And remember, there will be a trading competition for QAA starting in a couple of days. Okay, so please, if you want to take part in the airdrop, visit lovetoken.com. Hey, also, quickly, just that I wanted to mention, there was a question competition where people could submit their questions, and there were 10 winners that each one will receive 194 QAA each. So we're going to be posting the winners a little bit at the end of the show, so please stay with us. Okay, it was only about that, Edward. Sorry. Just
No problem.
important, relevant information for the traders. Now, how does a token get involved in the whole project and the ecosystem?
Yes. So my journey for that started in 2015, honestly, because in 2010 I was not really aware of everything of anything that had to do with blockchain or with crypto. So I was really focused on bringing these natural resources up to a proven resource because there is a market for it. So you can sell them, for example, to large mining companies. Large mining companies will never do a greenfield or a brownfield project. They only will buy NI 43-101 certified proven resources. So
Mm-hmm.
what was my idea those days, also combined with my freedom wish, is that I wanted to bring up these concessions to a proven resource and sell them to one of the large mining companies, for example, BHP Billiton or Glencore. Now, how does that go? You have an NI 43-101 resource. For example, it has a value of 100 million. Then they're going to look at you and they're going to say, okay, fine, Edward, yeah, no, that's all good. Yeah, okay. We give you 10 cents on the dollar and now get out of my office. So that means that resource of 100 million, they pay you 10 million in cash, and then it's theirs, and they put it on their balance sheet.
Mm-hmm.
That's more or less the same amount of the value in ground. So I just explained to you that that $2,000 troy ounce of gold, which is mined, has a value in ground of 200. So that's 10%. So that
Mm-hmm.
works on the moment that you have a proven resource. You can sell it to large mining companies, and they will buy it for you at in ground value. Until 2015, and then something got my attention very much, and that was blockchain. But I didn't know anything about it, so I started to read, educate myself, and on the moment that I understood what a blockchain was, I immediately recognized it as a disruptive technology, and I knew for sure that this is going to change our life. And obviously, I also saw Bitcoin at that stage, but I didn't really understand it because I thought, okay, this is a coin on the blockchain. I get that, but where is this value coming from? It's a perceived value. It's not attached to an asset or a real value in the real economy, so it's still perceived. So at that moment, I started to think about a coin because I was only thinking in terms of coins, a coin which could be attached to my resources in Sierra Leone. And I thought, if I can make a coin which is attached to real asset values and really is backed, then I can make Bitcoin 2.0 on steroids. And
Mm-hmm.
I started to dig in my network for people who could help me. And that wasn't go fast. That didn't go fast. It took me to 2019 when I heard of someone in Germany, a gentleman who tokenized diatomite. Diatomite is also a natural resource. You can find it almost everywhere on this earth. It's used in the agriculture and the filter industry. But he tokenized it. And on that moment, I thought, here is where my journey will start. And that gentleman is Michael Ungar. He tokenized this diatomite. I got in contact with him. We had a personal click. We understood each other exactly on a professional level. And we started to work on basically what now is the QAA and what will be the QAAA. Because the wish that we have already from the beginning is to bring a security token into existence. But at that stage in 2019, that was not possible at all. Because all the legislation which is necessary to do a project like this was not possible. So the QAAA is still the ultimate goal, and we are working very hard on it to bring a real full-fledged security token into the market. And why is that? That is, if you look at the investment industry and you would brutally chop it up in half, then on the one hand you have the token industry, and on the other half you have the traditional investment industry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we look at the traditional investment industry, obviously that's, for example, bond stocks, real estate, commodity markets, liquidity markets. And on the other side, you have the crypto industry. Well, where it comes to the real investment industry, there are a number of boxes that you need to tick in order for large institutional investors also to take a position. There needs to be a real asset value. It needs to be validated, quantified. It needs to be under legislation. It needs to be audited, and all those things you don't find them in the crypto industry. So if you look at the amount of money which is available, the amount of liquidity which is available in the real investment industry, there's not even 1% of the liquidity in the crypto industry which you can find in the real investment industry. So that's massive. But in order to unlock that capital, you need to have a full-fledged security token, which is compliant with all the rules and regulations in order for the parties to be able to enter. So that's the ultimate goal. So we were busy already for quite some time to get everything exactly in place, but the pressure from people around us and also from our community that rose with the day, and they said, "Listen, Edward, this project is so interesting. We want to be part of it. How can we be part of it?" So we decided to take the intermediary step with the QAA. So what happened in December last year? We tokenized our shares. So the value of our company at that stage was 50 billion US dollar. Sorry, 5 billion US dollars. So we created 50 billion shares of 10 cents. So there are 50 billion B-class shares attached to the value of 5 billion in value. And each token is backed with a share, guaranteed with a B-class share. So that's attached to the value of the company. So what we do over the next months and years is that we grow this asset-backed value, which we keep on stacking on the QAA, QAAA. So in order to finalize the project on the QAAA, which takes a little bit more time because you're bound by all kind of rules and regulations, we decided to introduce the QAA, where the Q stands for commodity, and the AAA obviously for the highest financial rating that you can get in the world, and that's where the name is coming from. So a AA rating is already a very nice rating.
Thank you, because that was one of the questions we received by the audience. What is the meaning of QAA?
Yes, yeah. The Q is commodity, and the AA and the AAA is the financial rating. So the QAA is a utility token, asset backed with the security, and the QAAA is a security token. So one of the questions that we get already a lot is, okay, Edward, it's nice, but what is the difference? Because for me, it's the same. A token which is asset backed with the security, or a security token. Well, for the people, there's also not a real difference because they get exactly the same product at this stage. It's asset backed, also with the assets of the company behind it. We are going to grow this also. Only the QAA is really in the crypto domain, and the QAAA will really be in the traditional investment domain, in order to have access to these large funds that we want to obtain in order to get a lot of liquidity in. So what we decided is to launch the QAA, which is currently here. We are listing it, so it's already listed on 6 dexes. We had the opportunity with La Token to do just the first checks. There will be a few more checks follow over the next few months, and we are very busy right now with expanding on the sales platforms. So we have online and offline events. We launched the QAA, QAAA in March in Dubai with a large event. We have a very important contact of us, is Fabio Cordella. He has a concept which is Wine of the Champions, and with that he has a number of soccer legends which are connected to that concept, and they embraced us. So the soccer legends who are behind the concept of Wine of the Champions are now also the ambassadors behind the QAA.
Yeah, I was gonna, and if you just allow me a minute, I would like to share that. Here they are, the brand ambassadors.
Yes.
And we have names like Ronaldinho, Frey, Lugano, Snyder, Kurain, Hamari, Materazzi. So these are brand ambassadors for QAA, right?
Yeah, well, for commodity basically.
Okay, for commodity. Good.
Yes.
And that, can you please tell us a little bit about about how what are their functions as brand ambassadors?
Well, you can imagine that these people have huge commodity communities. I mean,
Hmm.
behind them, um, they have what I really like about these people. I'm not a real soccer fan, not me. Well, people around me in our teams they follow these people already for years, but personally, I don't have too much with soccer itself. But I had the honor and the opportunity to meet these people all obviously in person, and one by one, these guys are real champions. Because when you hear how they got to the position where they got to, and how much energy, determination, sometimes also frustration, what they had to overcome to get to the point where they were as a soccer legend. That's exactly basically what we are doing. Nothing comes for nothing. You have to keep holding on. So these are tremendous guys, which have large networks, and they help us also through social media, where they have a vast amount of followers. They are posting everything that has to do with commodity is posted in their channels. On the moment that we have offline events, they many times they are joining us just to attract the masses and to get attention for what we are doing.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. We continue to receive questions. One interesting question from Jay Wong is, with everything happening now, metaverse. Have you ever thought of creating a metaverse which will replicate the real world of the green fields you talked about, and they simultaneously you can uh, you can make evaluations, so people would also be able to buy pieces or buy part of the metaverse.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, also a nice question. But we made already progression there also. There is also through this network of Fabio Cordella and the soccer players, we have been introduced to a person which is very well known in this world, Patrick Wave, also a known person by himself. He is controlling in several countries metaverse, and we are already talking about serious cooperation there together. So
Okay,
you will,
it's in the pipeline.
yes, you will find us there also. Yes.
Okay, great, fantastic. Again, to our viewers, please, if you want to know more about the project, please visit commodity.io. You have the link below in the banner. You'll be able to find information about the story, the QAA, AAA project, the white paper, the news, the team itself. So please educate yourself. And remember, there's an ongoing airdrop right now, and they will start a trading competition in Latoke in a couple of days for this project. So please visit latoken.com. Edward, thank you very much. And can you please tell us a little bit about the roadmap? Now, I know with the current market situation, with everything happening, you have super changing supervisory boards all the time. You have the technological side is always advancing. Might have a crypto winter, might pass. Very hard to forecast what's going to happen in 1 or 2 years. But let's say you have a wish for QAA. Where do you think, or where would you like the project to be in 2 years from now?
Um, well, obviously successful, but that's a little bit of a stupid answer. No, with everything that we are currently doing, um, I almost never use hope as a word, because hope, I always say, that's for the desperate. We are very determined where we are going. We have a very clear focus on how to get there. So the expansion of the, the sales platforms, the structures around it, online, offline, reaching the people, have a very good communication with our community to keep them informed on everything that we're doing. We have amazing partners in that regard. Um, where it comes to Sourceless, for example, which is going to provide us the blockchain, a hard fork on the blockchain. So that means that Sourceless will be the party behind us for the blockchain. We have another amazing partner, Revolution Media. These guys are doing everything where it comes to marketing, communication, social media, also the offline meetings and events that we have. So we will grow the community tremendously, keep in touch with the people, make for sure that the value of QAA and QAAA will rise significantly. I'm also very much convinced that it will. We are expanding our resources tremendously in Sierra Leone, but not only in Sierra Leone, that will be in more African countries. And we also struck already a large deal with a party in Bolivia. So we also will be on the South African continent, South American continent.
Really, in Bolivia, and what was the connection there?
Well, there is a guy who is um, uh, who is doing more or less the same as that I'm doing in the African continent. He found me. He got very interested in the way that we are handling this, and we are exactly on the same page. So he said, "Listen, Edward, let's join forces. I want to be part of Commodity too. There are tremendous resources in Bolivia, for
They are, yeah.
example, yeah, and this well in this example let me take copper. If people need to start producing, they want to produce as with the least amount of effort, the largest amount, obviously. So they are all going to dig for gold. But there are tremendous copper reserves in Bolivia which are completely untouched, unidentified. So we're talking about enormous amounts of value that we can create there. So in the next few years, commodity will be a leading brand, as I see it. We will grow a large community, which is very much interested in what we are doing and how we are doing it, because we are really different than a lot of other projects out there. And we want to create a freedom for everybody involved, all the stakeholders involved. Because if you have mind-like people who want to go to a mind-like goal, then you can serve more purposes at the same time.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's where we're going in the next 3 years. So value creation for the QAA and the QAAA, which uh, according to what I know now already, will be absolutely tremendous. And with that, um, having making a real change in Africa and for the people who are there.
Oh yeah, that's the cherry on top of the project. Help the community.
Yes.
Eh, as I said at the beginning of the of this show, there was a competition where our traders could submit the best questions, and 10 of those questions were selected. We have the winners that I'm going to feature here. Each winner is going to receive 194 QAA tokens each. So we will be contacting these people individually. Here, I'm just going to paste the emails of the winners. There's 10 winners. If you see your email here featured, we will be contacting you individually in order for you to receive your 194 QAAs each. With that said, Edward, we still have a lot of questions, but unfortunately, we're a little bit short on time. So I would like to ask you one last one. Do you have any final words for our viewers today?
Yeah, for everybody, but that's more in general. Not everything is only about money,
Mm-hmm.
and that's also with the largest transition of wealth in the history of mankind. What we mean with that is that's not only in a monetary sense. That also has to do with happiness, with love, with taking care, um, um, uh, a future for everybody. Because on this moment there are happening a lot of strange thing in this world,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to find again our way. And that's one of the contributions that we want to make with commodity, and that everybody sees what we're doing, and that you can actually do something in a complete different way, and serve all the goals at the same time.
Perfect. Great. Fantastic. Well, we're very happy to have you, Future and La Token. To our viewers, remember there is an ongoing airdrop happening right now, and soon we'll start the trading competition in a couple of days. So please visit latoken.com or go to our Telegram announcement channels. You can find all the information there. Edward, thank you very much for being with us. We still had a lot of questions prepared, so I hope to have you here again in another show. And we can jump
Thank
on
you
all.
very much, Xavier, for your time. It's much appreciated.
No, thank you. And well, fantastic project. Congratulations. And then Latoken will be there, assist you in everything we can. Edward,
Thank
have
you.
a great day. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye bye.